Welcome to today's next Power Up Your Sales webinar. We have this monthly to really help our own team and in the greater industry to just give some relevant information critical to the moment that we're in, just to empower us not only to keep going, but to take us to the next level. That's why we call it Power Up Your Sales. Today, we're very privileged to welcome Grant. But before I get to that, I just want to welcome everyone on our call today and those that are going to come. I see Marcelo's coming in, not only within our Chorus Powered by EXP team, but friends in the industry and then other colleagues in the industry, greater industry. This is for everyone. We record this. I'll send it out to the greater industry as well. We want everyone to really master their sales in this time and be really successful in their space, in their niche, in this industry. So a warm welcome to everyone for coming. So I'm David Beatty. I'm a team leader at Chorus Property Group powered by EXP. I'm also MD and principal of Chorus Property Group. We specialize, that side of the business specializes in sales and rentals and sexual title management across Joburg and Cape Town. We manage about 1,000 units across both cities. And then on the Chorus Property Group powered by EXP side, we have a growing sales team in many cities and suburbs, cities and towns around the country, everything from Bella to Magaliesburg to Johannesburg, Creole, Sasolburg, Durban, Welkom, and across Cape Town. So what we want to do is just succeed. We all work online and remotely, but we're here to succeed and help one another. And then I also run a Equip Business Coaching, which is coaching to the real estate industry, and that is a growing brand as well. So welcome. So today we're going to welcome, we have as a keynote speaker, we have Grant Flaum. Now Grant, I've known since I was in Joburg 10 years ago, my time in Joburg for 9 years. You know that every time I meet Grant, he's full of life, full of joy, and he's always a massive encouragement for me. So what he's going to be speaking about today is not just theory, he is living it. And I know all of us have had challenging times in our life, and I know Grant is no different. And yet Grant is still the same. And yet Grant is still smiling, still having the joyful attitude, still pushing life to the fullest. And I always really respect and am inspired by him for that. Just a little bit about Grant. He's been in business his whole life in different segments. He's had his own coaching business since 2016, and he also does a lot of coaching in the sports arena. For example, he helped coach the SA Pro golfer Tristan Stradom, who won the coveted Players Championship on the Sunshine Tour in 2022. Sorry, he also coaches pro golfers playing on the DP Tour, the Ladies European and Asian Tours, and the National Amateur Women's Golf Squad. He also coaches high-level executives. And helps them to lead their businesses more effectively. And results are everything to Grant. As he says, or as it says on his introduction, he has a dogged determination to see things through to the end. He doesn't stop until the client has crossed the line and achieved what they set out to achieve, and then push for more. And then he writes this. But never at the expense of people. And this is what I love about Grant. It is about results, it is about excellence, but it's about the humanity of us as well. He's a people's person through and through. He can relate equally comfortably to people from all walks of life, from a down and out individual to a successful CEO. His passion is and always has been to unlock the potential sitting in everyone, and thereby to unleash the business and organization to its best potential. His cup is seldom half empty. It's most times full to overflowing. He brings a passion and zest for life that is contagious. So yeah, that's it from me about Grant. I think he's a really, really important and a key person to share with today. And I would like to welcome Grant to share his piece. Welcome, Grant.
David, thank you. That's an incredible introduction. I really appreciate it. We've had some fantastic chats on our runs. David is by far a better runner than I'll ever be, that I'll dream of. But at least I can pretend to keep with him by asking him some questions. But it's a real honor and privilege for me to be with you this morning. I am talking on a topic that I'm absolutely passionate about. And so I want you to get the most out of today. I'd love to start off with, if you don't mind, just obviously there's not time to go introduce everyone, but if you could just put your name and where you're from in the chat box, just so that I have an idea of who I'm talking to. And yeah, just something that you're looking forward to about today. I am going to talk on the champion's mindset. It's a massive area to cover. And obviously, having spent a lot of time in this space, I would love to weave sport into this morning's conversation, this morning's time, but bring it across to how you would do things differently because of that. So I hope you got your journals, because I'm going to ask you some tough questions. As David said, I cannot just do theory. So I really want you to walk away with having thought through stuff you've learned, where you want to be, what you aspire to be, some of those kinds of things from this morning. From tomorrow, make a difference in your life. How does that sound? David, I'm going to share screen if that's all right.
Let me just open up for you. Go ahead.
Thank you. And please mind me today, I'm going to be jumping between multimedia and all kinds of things. I'm trying to make it as interactive as I can. And please, if there are questions, put them straight into the chat box. David's going to just collate them. And at the question stage, we're going to go through all of them. I really want you to get max out of today. All right, so just some inspiration. Are we ready to roll, team? The first step towards getting somewhere is to decide that you're not going to stay where you are. It is absolutely impossible to move you forward if you don't want to move forward. So there's got to be something inside of you that says, I'm not satisfied with this. I am satisfied, but I'm not. That tension. I actually want more. And the first step towards getting somewhere is to decide that you're not going to stay where you are. So what are we going to look at today? I'm going to just give you a little bit more background. David did such a good job. I'm almost reluctant to go here, but let's just do it for your purposes, just to give context to who I am and what I'm bringing to you this morning. And then we're going to go straight into an exercise called taking stock. I want you to look back at the last 3 months and just jot down some learnings, some victories, some of the things that you've gained, because it's so important as individuals with champion mindsets to take time to take stock, to kind of evaluate the progress you have made. You know, I sometimes do that with some of my athletes. We say, just stop, just look back on the incredible victories and the incredible progress you've made. Because sometimes we can get so into, I want to be somewhere else, that we don't stop and realize there's been massive progress, there have been good habits put in place, and how do we just keep building on from this point. The stretch for more I want to do right at the end after questions and answers, because I want you to take in some of my input and then start to map out where you want to be in 3 months' time and hold yourself accountable for that. Because, you know, the difference between people who are making a move forward is not necessarily they have better intellect or any of those things. They take action. And so a lot of what I'm going to talk about today is take that step. Take it with courage and boldness. Take the next step. I want to then move into some case studies and lessons from the world I love. Some of my background in sport, I played everything that I could. My dad was an avid sports enthusiast, so he would come home and I'd be waiting for him with a golf club, a cricket bat, a tennis racket, and poor dad would have to put his things down and immediately enter a very competitive game. And that's been my life. I have watched every bit of sport that I could in my early days and try to play as much as I can. And it's just been a great passion, because there's so many lessons that we can learn from the mindsets of champions, of sportsmen. And then I want to actually go into 8 qualities that we can look at. And in between that are quotes and videos and examples, and just to make it as practical as I can. And then we'll hit some questions and answers. Alrighty, let's find out who this Grant Flaum is. All my visual effects, thanks to my daughter. All right. As David so rightly mentioned, I absolutely love my sports work, and I work as a mental conditioning coach currently for the South African women's national team, who are heading to Dubai this year. Last year, we finished a very credible 15th out of 54 countries, and this year, watch the space. I think we're in to give the world a good run. We are full of talent, just coming through all the way, coming through the ranks, and it's such an honor and privilege to work with these young ladies, young champions, many of whom have had doors open to go to the US and have get college scholarships and that. As David mentioned, I work with C-suite execs from around the world: Dubai, Canada, America, Johannesburg, Cape Town. Absolutely love the one-on-ones, just helping business execs just get unstuck. There may be some areas that they're just needing some perspective or accountability or just sounding boards. I also work for an organization which helps entrepreneurs. We work in the established business space, so businesses who are well established but want to take the next level up. And we have got some fantastic results over the years. And then the last thing I do is to just help our biggest client, Sibanye-Stillwater, specifically their platinum division, just help them contain costs, look at more efficiencies. As I mentioned earlier, you might have just caught the end of my discussion with David. The mines are under enormous pressure with commodity prices dropping as they have. And they've got to then they've got to become a low-cost producer, and they've got to look at all ways that they can not compromise on production, but just get great efficiencies. So that's me in a nutshell. I'm well into my 50s. I have 4 children. We adopted our last child. I have an adult son who's just turned 21, who's studying down in the Western Cape. David, you're part of the woods, so any chance I can to get down there and visit. And yeah, happily married to the same wife, happily married to Lisa for 23 years next year. So family man, love my family, but yeah, carrying many hats and love the space of people. I've given my whole life to people. From early young age, I was helping my parents in a clothing business and absolutely loved interactions with people from that point as a 11-year-old, still with those funny tills where you had to kind of pull down the numbers and then wind it up, and then the till opens up, and then you've got to give change based on arithmetic in your head. So wonderful, great years growing up in and amongst people. Okay, ladies and gents, can you pull your journals out, pens out? This is your time to stop. We seldom get to do that. We talk in the business world, we say, don't be so busy working in your business that you're not working on your business. Because in your business is easy. Anybody can do that. Anybody can get busy with activity. But are you busy with the right strategic activity to drive your business forward? And so here's a moment for you in your personal capacity, or if you want to do in your professional capacity, or both, to just take stock. So the first question, pull out those pens. What was your personal highlight the last 3 months? When I say the last 3 months, let me just be clear. So through the winter, June, July, August. What was your personal highlight the last 3 months? Write it down. You don't need to share it. I want this to be your moment to kind of take stock and stop and work out, where you've come from. Everyone got that? Then I want you to look at the areas you've grown the most in the last 3 months. The areas you feel you've grown the most in. And team, I get it that sometimes the last 3 months could have meant that we literally just put out a whole bunch of fires. That's also fine. Maybe you didn't feel like you grew, but I want to challenge you to say, look back on how you responded to some of the crises. Look back at how you responded to some of the challenges you faced, because I can guarantee you've grown through them. What did you do differently? What did you learn? You know, it's one thing to kind of look back and say, oh, I didn't achieve this, I didn't achieve this. But a great question is, what did you actually learn? Because that's going to set you up for the next quarter and the quarter after that. And then my last challenge, or my last question is, has it become a habit? Has what you've done differently now become a habit of how you do things? And we're going to talk a lot about habit today, because, ladies and gents, that's what separates the best of the best, the most effective sportsmen from those that are just are wannabes, is the ability to perform consistently, day in, day out, that it becomes unconscious competence that they can deliver on. So that's my definition of a habit. A habit is a routine of behavior that is repeated regularly and tends to occur subconsciously. So in other words, maybe my habit is a run every single morning. I've now established that. When the alarm goes, I put my shoes on. I've put my shoes and clothes out there already. I put my running shoes on. They say that's the key. Put your running shoes on as soon as you can and run. Get out and run. That's a habit that you've now started to just ingrain into your daily routine. That's an example. Let me know in the comments section if there's anything that you're struggling with, or if there's anything that you know just want to bounce off me, or anything. Just feel free anytime to do that. Sure, I've got Clinton from Cape Town, and Masilo, and Solomon, and Chego, Lebohang, Eleanor. Thanks, guys. Thanks for reaching out. How's the exercise going? Just running through. Nice, David. Good job. Good job. Those are very powerful. Nice. I love it, Solomon. Excellent, guys. These are good. Keep going. We need to take stock. We need to say, actually, I'm moving forward. There's progress. Because sometimes we can get so down because it just feels like it's the same old, you know. But there is progress. There's progress there, and right near the end, we're going to look at how to be even more intentional. Can I move on? Is there anyone still needing to wrap up this exercise? I'm moving fairly quickly. You know, we will have this will all be available to you. It is being recorded, so if you want to go through it slowly again, you're welcome to do it. I'm just aware of the material I want to get through. Okay, let's go for it. Okay, so I want to just take you through a few case studies. And sorry, I just want to move some things out and move some things back. There we go. One more. All right, so I want to talk to you about a female Olympic athlete who's actually a recurve archer. If you're not sure what a recurve archer is, look at the picture in the backdrop. It's not her, but she actually finished top 5 in South Africa last year, and is, the last time I saw her, telling me that she's 1 point off her Olympic qualification, which is phenomenal given where she's come from. And so the reason why I bring her into the picture is we were working really nicely, and we have been for a number of years. And then come nationals, she bombs out. She literally bombs out. She can't sleep the night before. She should easily win. And she gets nowhere. I think she didn't even finish top 4. And it was quite interesting when unpacking with her, because obviously we've made a lot of ground. We've been working for a while together on just some of the processes she needs to just have her mind focused on the activity in front of her, which is half the challenge for sportsmen. And when we unpacked what was happening, we started to realize that there was deep wounds from her early childhood where she couldn't believe in herself. She absolutely lacked self-belief. And only now that we have gone there and looked at what this is that's tripping her up when she gets to crunch time, have we started to chip away at probably the most important work I can do with her. And the reason I bring it up is I want you to look at your life and see if they're not things, self-destructive narratives, things that we say about ourselves in the heat of pressure that actually we might need help on, that we might need to identify, become aware, and get tools to get healing in that space. I don't know if that makes sense. But that thing will always trip you up when you're under pressure. And the reality, friends, is that, and I'm going to show you this, is that a sportsman's life carries very similar pressures to what you would have to earn your next buck, to get your next sale, to, network, to make your cold call. All those kinds of things are legitimate pressures and similar pressures to what you would experience. And in that moment of performance, are you falling back? That's the first case study, and we're going to get into a little bit of lessons learned as well, just from my years and years working with sportsmen. I've had a passion since I was young to see sportsmen unlock the potential by understanding the mind and the mind processes. In other words, helping them get out of their own way. The next is a Fortune 500 finance manager who also had a lifelong challenge with learning, to the point where he honestly thought he was inferior to everyone else because he just couldn't learn. He couldn't rote learn. Do you know what rote learning is? Where you can kind of take some information, digest it, and then put it down in a different form. He just couldn't do it. What he could do is, if he understood concepts, he could, write about them, and he could, relay them and write them out. And what was happening was, so he never got his qualification. He got some basic accounting qualifications, but super bright, super intelligent. But what started to happen was, whenever he now wanted to face this giant called studying, he would find all kinds of excuses not to study and call it procrastination, and find all kinds of excuses not to follow through and do the studying work because he had a very hectic job, and found all kinds of things, until we sat and we started to process the why. Why do you do this? Why do you bomb out at these key times? And as we started, and this takes time sometimes to unravel, to get to almost like the onion skin, what's actually at the core. And as we started to do that, we started to realize that he actually had an inability through his lack of concentration to focus on some of that rote work. And how does he accommodate that? And it was just so good. A couple of weeks ago, he eventually stepped out, learnt this way, so accommodated his struggles, but studied in a different way and passed. And so what I want to encourage you with today is that there are things that you maybe can't do. But I want to say, once you're aware of actually what's going on, you have the willpower and you have the belief and you have the ability to bypass that and overcome that. So it never is a ceiling in your life, but instead something for you to get great victory in as you overcome and give it focus. I'm not going to do number 4. That was just a joke on David. The third one is just preparing the girls. I've just this week got off calls to the US with them. And yeah, I think the lesson that I learned from that is they're probably in the most competitive market, being in America, playing with the world's best players in that space. And man, they are so confident because they're putting their best against the best that's out there. And I want to encourage you and challenge you. Don't settle. Don't let others set the thermometer of the room. Why don't you create a new temperature? Why don't you raise the bar and compete at that level? Don't settle for what everyone else is doing and kind of get complacent. Why don't you be the thermostat that ups the temperature without anyone needing to encourage you to do that? And then let's firm up some of these lessons learned. Sport has many parallels to business, especially when it comes to performance. I want to propose to you that you are equally under pressure to perform as your sporting counterparts. You know, there's a score in business as in sport. If I don't make my budget, we're in trouble. If I don't bring in the sales, I'm not going to earn what I need to keep the family alive, right? You have to arrive and show up every single day. Like, if you're trying to sell something and you come across as dead and lethargic and don't believe in what you're selling, who's gonna buy from you? People buy people at the end of the day. And so there is a pressure from sport. There is a pressure in business. There is a pressure in everyday life to arrive and show up, to kind of perform under pressure, to check the score. What's in the bank account? What are some areas that I'm making progress in? Do I understand my skill? Am I getting better in my skill? Am I different to anyone else in that? And then it takes time. Practice makes perfect. Those golfers will hit golf balls 6 to 8 hours a day. It takes time to craft a skill because you want to be better than anyone else. I hope that makes sense to you. Give me a thumbs up if you're on track and you haven't gone off to your cell phone because you're bored. Let's go. Right, so let's dive in. 8 qualities of a champion. This is very much a small list. There are so many others. I want to go through each of them, take a little time to do that, and hopefully something speaks to you this morning. That's my dream and desire, is that even in one area, there's something that resonates with you to say, actually, when we come to the exercise at the end, I'm going to take some time and I'm going to go after this thing. I want to make some shifts. I want to use the next 3 months to step up a gear. I want to compete at the next level. And just to encourage you, I've absolutely loved this story that actually comes from cycling. And it's so inspired me to really start believing what's possible. But the story goes like this. Around 2002, 2003, British cycling was completely off the map. They had not won one Tour de France up until then. And I think they'd won one gold medal in 100-something years before that. And they needed to make some changes. And so they brought in this guy, Dave Brailsford, to kind of head up as director of cycling. And through Dave's work, Dave's impact has resulted in something that is known as the aggregation of marginal gains. So in other words, how do I gain from making small little changes that add up to a lot when I look back? And Dave went about his business unpacking all the different components of what would make his cycling team the best in the world, to the point where he brought a surgeon in to help the athletes clean their hands properly so that they didn't get infections and flus and all kinds of things. How they slept, the kind of gear that they needed on their bicycles, the practice routines. He literally uncovered them all and said, how do we get better in each of these areas? And if I tell you that in a space of 10 plus years, British cycling has completely revolutionized and disrupted how cycling gets done around the world. Tour de France's, the number of medals, the world championships. I mean, I could literally, if you're interested, read that out to you, the CV of what was achieved through one person with vision, not saying, oh, let's make these big changes, but let's just take the little things and do them super well, bring in the expertise, and let's get consistent with that and watch what happens. And so I want to encourage you, before I go into this section, for you to have that at the back of your head. What are the small things, the small little things in my life that I can notch up a gear, even today? And as I do that, what's another area? What's another area? What's another area? So that when I look back again over these last 3 months, I can say, wow, I'm just playing in the space that I've always dreamed I could play in. I'm realizing my full potential. How does that sound? Okay, so let's get into them. Some of them have videos as well, so if you'll be patient with me as I switch all my media, but I'm hoping that they give the impact. The video gives you the images and the impact that'll help you understand each of these sections super well, so that you can kind of walk away with something that you can implement immediately. All right, so here they are. The champions I work with are reaching for something big. I love what someone said, a bit late for me to chase the World Cup. Never too late. There's World Cups in all our ages, Kieran. But what's so key is that you're reaching for something big. Because if you set your sights low, that's where you're going to go. If you shoot for the stars, you're gonna head closer to the stars than if you don't shoot for stars. And so I want to start off by saying your aspirations, having high aspirations, having full belief that you're able to do the impossible. Number one, and I'm going to unpack each of them in detail. Number two is courage. It's one thing to say, that's where I'm heading. It's another thing to say, how am I going to do that daily, on a daily basis? How am I going to do that when I'm knocked down and I need to dare, to take a risk, to step out? I want to talk about courage, because sportsmen have courage. They've got to kind of take some calculated risks in the heat of battle. When it could come off, it might not. It takes courage. Resilience. They're not thrown by setbacks or circumstances. I love what someone said earlier on. I'm trying to avoid being defined by circumstances. Resilient people will always succeed because it doesn't matter what's happening around them. They are pushing through despite everything that's happening. and the lack of resources potentially, and all of those things. They have a fighting spirit inside of them that says, I will not back down. Radical responsibility. I want to show you a video. If you're a soccer fundi, you will know who Robin van Persie is. By show of hands, anybody? And he has a beautiful 2-minute talk about an observation around his son, around taking radical responsibility. And I love this word. I heard it first from a CEO who mentioned that he takes radical responsibility for everything that happens in the business. And it's changed everything. So he doesn't look to blame. What am I responsible for first and foremost, and what I need to do to solve this? We'll tackle that some more as well. But that's what sportsmen do. They're not waiting for perfect weather or perfect golf courses that suit their eyes or those kinds of things, or the archer, the perfect day out to go and shoot the arrows that they want to shoot. They are completely responsible for how they can perform today. Self-belief and confidence. I want to show you a little video of what confidence looks like. Real belief, self-belief from deep within you to kind of go and conquer what you need to back yourself. Continuous learning. What I want to propose to you, and I teach my golfers this, the ones that are the young ones get it, is that don't worry always about the result. Learn, continue to learn. Sometimes we win, sometimes we learn. In fact, most times we learn. But if your mindset is not to be a learning mindset, you will only get disappointment because the outcome didn't go your way. How do we continuously learn all the time? And then an abundance mentality. We're not part of our cup is overflowing. And that's so key in sales. I sell as well. I have to sell. It's so key for me to have a mindset that says there's lots of opportunities. There's lots of individuals who need to sell houses, rent houses. There's lots of individuals out there. Versus a shrinking mentality that says, oh, woe is me, the economy, everything is getting smaller and I can't do this. We've got to approach life with as long as there's lots of people, there's lots of opportunity, and I'm going to talk into that. And then the last one, number 8, is develop the right habits. Let's get some positive habits going that you can almost, I tell my golfers that you're on autopilot. You don't even know you're doing it, but you're doing the stuff that counts, the really important stuff on a day in, day out basis, because that's going to lead to consistency, and consistency leads to growth. Does that make sense? Okay, so let's dive in. The first one is a question that I want to ask you is, what's your big, hairy, audacious goal? What's the thing that you get out of bed for? What's the thing that you got probably a 50% probability of reaching, of hitting? It's a stretch goal. And I want you to describe it in detail. So pull out your pens, pull out your notebooks, and I don't want you to be under pressure here, but I want you to think about it. It might not be now, but spend some time to think about it. This should be super difficult to achieve. Don't make it something that you can do with your eyes closed. And team, you know what starts to happen when you start to get clarity, when you start to get very clear on that big, hairy goal? It starts to live in the forefront of your thinking. Everything you're thinking about is how I'm going to slay this giant, how I'm going to achieve this. Your brain starts to work with you. It starts to come alive. You start to dream about it. You've got the momentum now as you start to put it out there as your big goal, your big, hairy goal. And it creates purpose. It creates vision. It creates something that empowers you to say, I'm living for a bigger purpose. I'm living for a bigger reason. What's your big, hairy, audacious goal? And please, I want to give you freedom to take out a blank canvas and just start writing. Just start dreaming. Dream of the impossible. Because if we don't start dreaming, we're going to shrink every single day. We're going to get caught up in the whirlwind of life and never go beyond that into, what do I want to become? What's the big goal out there? And what I want to say to you is, for some of you who embrace my challenge, keep upping the ante, keep raising the bar. If you've nearly at that goal, go higher. And I don't have time this morning, but the Subway franchise model case study is amazing case study in creating and refining and upping big, hairy, audacious goals. It started as this one little store that couldn't even make money, wasn't even profitable in the one store. And someone with a big dream said, let's go 2 stores. And from 2 stores, they started to say, we want to compete. And this is years later. We want to be bigger than McDonald's. Friends, how many would tell me that is a big, hairy, audacious goal? Can I tell you that there are more franchises than McDonald's of Subway around the world because of one person's courage to believe that nothing's impossible. But you have to articulate it. That's really what I'm encouraging you. Write it down. Put it out there. Make sure that it's a living, active goal, not something that you've put in shelf, in drawer 13 and never refer to. Write it out and go after have aspirations. Big, hairy, audacious goals. Moving on to the next one. Courage doesn't always roar. Sometimes courage is the quiet voice at the end of the day saying, I will try again tomorrow. Excuse me. Can I read that again? Courage doesn't always roar. Sometimes courage is the quiet voice at the end of the day saying, I will try again tomorrow. Sometimes it takes courage not to give up. Let's go through that. So it takes courage to execute on your... Oh, what's happening? There we go. It takes courage to execute on your plans. What is courage? It's strength in the face of pain or grief. Courage is not measured when everything is going for you and the wind's behind you. Courage is best measured when there's great pain and great grief. I'm not going to go into details here, but as a 48-year-old white male in South Africa, I had to walk away from something that I loved immensely because my family were potentially going to get really, really hurt by it. And a friend of mine said, you're committing financial suicide. And I said to the friend, I have to do this no matter what. And it took me into some really tough places. I had to get in a car, drive to a town far away, work on some mines that I knew nothing about, and earn a living for my family. And it was a tough time because every day I'd have to get up, ask the question, what am I doing here? I'm so far away from what I loved. And you just have a voice behind you saying, I will get up tomorrow morning and carry on, or encouraging you to do that. Just a quiet voice saying, I'll try again tomorrow. And that's what courage looks like. Courage is daring to act. It's doing the difficult stuff. I don't know about you, but sometimes cold calling could be the hardest thing on the planet to do. What if this person just fobs me off, doesn't hear what I say? And that's what it takes. I heard what David said before, that he's been reaching out, and it takes courage to do that. It's not for sissies, if I can use that expression. Networking can be scary. It's like my wife says, wherever you go, you're networking. Can you just be Grant? And I'm like, I've learned that that's what it takes to move forward. Is how do you network? How do you reach out? How do you put yourself out there? And I put a little reference here, the Israelites in the promised land. I want to tell you that going after a big dream is not milk and honey, is not, the Israelites faced some massive giants in this promised land. If we look at the history of the Israelites, and I know that there's obviously a whole bunch of controversy here, but let's take it for what it is. Israelites going into the promised land, they faced some massive giants. It wasn't walk in and this is your promised land. They had to fight tooth and nail from the beginning. And I want to encourage you that if you start to see your promised land, there is going to be a battle. There's going to be a daily fight to keep the ground, to get into where you want to be. And so it takes courage. And so a talk with Grant Flaum without a challenge would be not the real me. It would be an AI version. So I want you to think about in the next 3 months what you want to do that will scare you. That scares you thinking about it. One personal thing and one professional thing. I want you to stretch yourself. Why am I saying this? Because sometimes we've got into such a rut that by just facing a fresh challenge, that's actually a difficult challenge, sets in motion all kinds of things, it sets in all kinds of things that help us to rise up. Does that make sense? Doing something that's difficult for you. If off the top of my head, it's go camping with my sons. I am the worst camper on the planet. If I could have a little chalet where someone's camping, I would choose it like that. I am terrible. I don't like it. I don't like the whole process. I'm not a camel man. But for me, that would be an amazing challenge, a personal challenge to say, take your boys and go camp. I'm petrified. I'm petrified. Our tent would blow off in the night. A whole bunch of stuff. But this will put courage in my bones to say, actually, I've faced this and I've overcome it. What's the next thing? And so I want to put that to you. Can we move to the next challenge? So that's courage. Number 2. The first one was the big, hairy, audacious goal. The third one is resilience. And I love this poster. The frog is facing death down the throat of this bird and still holds on, believing that it can overcome. Isn't that such a beautiful picture of what it takes to be a champion? Tenacious, continually not backing down, staying the course. And I said, what happens when you fall off your bike? On Sunday, just before the rugby, my wife and my little boy, we adopted a little boy. There's a big gap, so often it's Lisa, myself, and Elijah, and we had a gap to quickly go to the shops and just catch up with each other. And we were going to go be with friends later that evening watching rugby, and then I turned into a different person. And my little boy was cycling, and the next minute, boom, he fell over. And there were crocodile tears. I don't know if you, probably the moms there know, the eyes start to well up, and there's a tear coming, and there's going to be a lot of tears. You can sense it. And we just hugged him and held him. And within 2 seconds, Dad, I'm back on the bike. Give me the helmet. Because I took the helmet and I took the bike, and I was ready to push it for him, because I knew he might need a little bit of time to, regain confidence and whatever. And it was amazing. He took the helmet back from me, put it on his head, said, Dad, I'm back on my bike. And at that moment, I just thought of you guys. I just thought that's a great moment to share because that's life. What happens when you fall off your bike? Will you get up, dust yourself, and keep going? Or you're going to just spend a whole lot of time licking your wounds. See, this always happens to me. I'm the unlucky one. I never get any breaks. Look now, I've lost ground. I'm hurt. I'm injured. I'm disappointed. And please hear me. I'm not saying those are not legitimate emotions. All I'm saying is it's a great place if you camp there to remain inactive and not move towards your dreams. I always say, and build a campsite there. That seems to be a recurring theme, Dave. I might have to take myself up on my challenge. Can you bounce back after a disappointment? And like this frog, don't give up. Never give up. The last point under resilience I want to talk about is Lisa, my wife, has brought into the country the most incredible course to help people overcome stress, because what we're finding is that South Africans are incredibly stressed at the moment. And these tools are super, super practical. But the key thing that she looks at is when we ruminate. Does everyone know what ruminate means? You know, for cows, ruminate is they chew over and over again the grass that they've just chewed on. And they re-chew it and they regurgitate it and they chew it and whatever. And what she's found in her research, and it's backed by years and years of the best evidence from around the world, looking at stress, is that people that ruminate are stressed or more prone to stress. And if you can stop that activity, be aware of it, and see life as challenges, like rapids. You know, when you go down some rapids, there's some calm, some quiet, some nice stretches where you look around, take photos, but there are also times where there are rapids. Life is not always rapids, am I right? There are times where it's just gentle meanders. Then we go into the rapids. Now, if we see life, those rapid moments as stresses, we'll tip the boat. If we see them as challenges and just see them for what they are, we've got a better chance of maneuvering and navigating. And I don't want to steal her thunder, but it's an incredible course that we've run through with management teams and individuals on my golf team as well, just to help them not get in their heads. That's really what it's about, because that's where you put poison into the system, and your body struggles. Your body doesn't like it. It starts to think that you're already in stress mode. Okay, let's move on. I'm wary of time. Okay, the next one, radical responsibility. No more finger pointing. And I'm going to play you Robin van Persie's short clip. It's just so profound that it says it all. So give me a second to load that up, and let me get you that.
Take your right hand, shake it out. How many people here want to learn faster? How many people want to remember more?
What, we're not seeing it?
Yeah, I'm getting it now for you. Sorry. Probably needed one of my kids to help me with all this fast moving. All right. Back to share. Are we all still good, hey? Okay. Here we go. I just want to Can you hear me? I just want to go back to the start and go.
And I actually had this chat last week, funny enough, seriously, with my son. So my son plays at Feyenoord. He played against Ajax under 14. He was on the bench. He didn't play. So in the car on the way back, he was like a bit moody, disappointed, complaining a little bit about others, about the coach, etc. And then I said, yeah. I said, but Shaquille, I said, you sound like a loser, you know? If you talk like this in a way, you sound like you lost. I said, you are blaming him, you're blaming her, you're blaming this, you're blaming everything. I said, but I don't hear one single thing about yourself. I said, winners, I said, they take control and they blame themselves and they look where they can improve, yeah? And this is what you should be thinking about. So I didn't tell him what he should think about. You should ask yourself the question, are you a loser or are you a winner? I said, for me, it doesn't matter. I said, because I'm your dad. I said, the only job I have and your mom has is when you're 20, that you're a good boy, that you're ready for life. You know, you can make your mistakes, you can do what you want. I love you for the same amount. It doesn't matter for me if you make it as a football player or not. I said, but you say that this is your passion. So you should take control of your life and stop complaining, because it sounds like a loser. I said, and I don't mind. If you want to be a loser, be a loser. I still love you as much. I said, it doesn't matter for me. I said, but if you want to be a winner, take control of your life and stop complaining about others. And then I watched him train the next morning. My wife said, where are you going? I said, I'm going to watch this session. 2 days later, actually, because they played on Saturday and Monday morning. So I'm there sitting, cold, hoodie on. I'm looking and I see this tiger training, running, working. And I was like, okay. He realized he has to take control of his life. He's 13 now.
All right, so I'm going to move through that because really, I think it says it all there. Take ownership of each situation radically. Take ownership. Like, own it. This is you. I loved what he said. He said to him, you know, I don't hear any of you in all of this. Everyone else is to blame, but there's nothing about you. And that's when we start to rise above our circumstance, when we start to say, actually, it's in my hands. Don't blame everyone and everything. Okay, I'm going to move on. I think Percy said it the best. Self-confidence, self-belief. Again, I'm going to have to show you this great video. And this is the last one because I am wary of time. But give me a second and I want to show this to you again. Okay, I'm going to share it.
Who would like this $20 bill?
I do.
Okay. I'm going to give it to one of you, but first, let me do this. Okay, now, who still wants it?
I do.
And what if I do this? Now, who wants it now? My dear students, I've just showed you a very important lesson. No matter what I did with this money, you still wanted it because it never lost its worth. It's still worth $20. Well, there are many times in our lives when we feel like life has crumbled us up and ground us into the dirt. We may make some bad decisions or have to deal with some poor circumstances. And sometimes our lives can make us feel worthless. But no matter what has happened, no matter what will happen, you never lose your worth. You never lose your value. Don't ever forget that.
Okay. So that is I can mentality. And really the question for me is, do you back yourself? Because if you're not going to back yourself, if you don't believe in yourself, nobody else will. We have to know that we have got what it takes. And I love what Jack Nicklaus said, back to the sport analogy. He says, confidence is the most important single factor in this game. And no matter how great your natural talent, there's only one way to obtain and sustain it. And that's through work. And that's specifically for sportsmen. Like I always tell the guys, I cannot do magic. You cannot arrive and say, give me confidence without you doing the hard work. That's what Jack Nicklaus is saying. That's where confidence comes from. But when you've got that, I can help you stay there and back yourself. And that's the difference. Is we're not saying, wishy-washy. You have to know what you're doing. Once you've got to that point, back yourself. Even when, circumstances don't always line up. Okay, let's go to the next one. All right. And then continuous learning. I love what Van Persie said, just developing a learning mindset. Just go out and learn, son. Don't get so hung up about what the coaches dropped you or whatever. Just be open to learning. Are you a know-it-all? I don't know if you know some people like that, but you can't tell them anything about anything. They are so closed in their receiving of information. I want to challenge you. I want to say to you, every person that you interact with has got so much to give you. It's got so much to give, so much experience. Let's not get into that mindset that says, I know everything. I don't need anything from anyone. Are you open to learning? What can I learn from the situation? What can I learn about this? I've had a string of proposals go out for some really nice work. It would really set us as a family up nicely. And none of them have come through so far. But what can I learn from the situation? Well, Grant, don't be so eager. Don't be so enthusiastic. Don't harass them. Okay, just let them think about it. What else can I learn? Oh, man, who else is out there with an abundance mentality? Who else can I go and talk to about something that I really believe passionately in? What can I learn from the situation? Instead of licking my wounds and saying, woe's me, I'm not going to get out there and sell ever again. I hate it. Look, none of it's got anywhere. No. What can I learn from it? Let's not give up. Let's go back. Let's be a little bit more professional in how we interact with the prospect. And let's keep things moving forward. Okay. Which I think leads nicely into the next one, which is an abundance mentality. Team, this is so important. Listen to this. To succeed in sales, simply talk to lots of people every day. And here's what's exciting. There are lots of people. That is the key to networking. To succeed, talk. Use your mouth. Get out. Talk. Talk to lots of people every day. And you know what's exciting? You'll find there's lots of people. Because what happens when we've got disappointed, we shrink. And we start to want to not step out. We start to kind of, look inwards. My value is that crumpled dollar. Woe is me. Actually, that's when we just got to keep moving forward. Keep moving forward. I've got value. I've got things to say. I've got a big purpose. What I'm selling you is incredibly important to you. There are many opportunities out there. I also like to think there's more than enough for everyone. When we started out as a bunch of coaches, one of the things was get out there and find your own work. And you can get so small in your thinking that you kind of get territorial. They mustn't get into my space. I'm going to go for the mining space and I'm going to work in this. No, there's more than enough for everyone. And it's such a beautiful mentality to have in life. Yes, guys, South Africa's this woe and we have this problem and then we have this challenge. But let me tell you, we still a very strong country. We have amazing people. We are creative. We can get out of anything. There is so much positive to still look for in this beautiful nation of ours. Don't get sucked into a shrinking fiscal drains and, oh man, we've got such debt, and yeah, we have got those challenges, but we can do it. We can do it because we're resilient people, because we know what it takes to export other products and get other products, into other markets. We've got it. And I want to say that to yourself. Back yourself. Believe that you have the ability to get out of situations. Golfers cannot go, or sportsmen cannot go and kind of approach things like, there are many other tournaments to play. What did I learn from this tournament? The golfers that make the biggest progress for me are the ones that come back and give me feedback. I learned this, and I happen to win. The winning isn't the big thing. It's what can I get out of it? Because there's many tournaments that I'm going to be playing in that I can build my skill. All right, last one. Discipline leads to habits. Habits leads to consistency. Consistency leads to growth. Successful people are not lucky. They're consistent. They show up. Beautiful book if you're a reader. It's by James Clear, called Atomic Habits. Phenomenal. And he makes habits so much more accessible. Because sometimes we think, I'm overwhelmed to make these kinds of changes. I have a son who's my second born, 19-year-old, who's gone off to do a gap year, but it's in a very disciplined environment. To the point where I phoned him early on in his time down in Jeffreys Bay, of all places. It's so beautiful there. And he phoned me to show me that he's made his bed, and it was a weekend. And I'm like, what has happened to my son? Because when you walk into his room, normally it's like Hiroshima. The bomb has bolted and blasted everything open. And he phoned me this week to say, Dad, my life has changed. I am getting up at 5. I go straight to the gym. I come back, I read. I have a big breakfast. I've never felt so on top of life. And what I want to say to you is, you don't have to do that. I'm not saying that's the only habit, but when we go after specific things that lift us up, that enhance us, that grow us, that build us, you're going to feel like you're a changed person. He phoned me so excited, like, I cannot go back. This is my new, and Dad, my muscles are getting so big. These are the positive benefits of doing things consistently. They lead to growth. And it takes discipline. I remember moaning to a friend, and Dave, you'll be interested in this one. Moaning to a friend, man, I'm just not getting fit. I'm getting fat. I'm lazy, blah, 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 blah. And he just said to me, discipline. He didn't prescribe, this is what you need to do. He just said discipline. And I look back and I went through a patch through the middle of winter, which is the hardest time in Johannesburg, if you know Johannesburg winters, to just be disciplined. And I ran Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday without question. Nobody could get in that space. I didn't question it. And this is early in the morning, guys. This is 4 o'clock in Rustenburg, 4 a.m. But that word just resonated with me, discipline. I'd wake up, the alarm would go off, I'd put my shoes on, I'd run. No questions asked. And the benefits came. They came like that because it just, as you put it in. Now, what I want to say to you is that you already have well-established routines. If you stop and just think about your bedtime routine, it probably hasn't changed in 10 years. And what I'm proposing to you today is find something that is crucial and important and stack the habit. So let me give you an example. One of the privileges I have was working with a national squash champion. And this squash champion would say to me, Grant, I just cannot stretch and I need to stretch. That's going to be the key to me having a successful squash career. And what we did was we unpacked his last routine of the night, which is a shake that he makes, and then he heads to bed. And what we did was we put the roller in the kitchen just before he made the shake. And because it almost ambushed him, it got him to roll and stretch, make the shake. Game changer. And all I'm saying is a potentially just simple, small thing that can change everything. Just creating a habit that you can put on already habits and create a new habit. That's called habit stacking. And James Clear talks about it in his book. Is so good. So it's being intentional, but just identifying all the routines that make up your life and how to add some things that are really beneficial and helpful. And I want to end off with an example of a routine for when you end your day. I'm not saying this is, you have to do this. I'm saying this is a nice way to put something in place that's a habit that you can do from today. At the end of each day, ask yourself, question number 1, what happened today that I'm grateful for? Question number 2, which actions move me towards my big, hairy goal? Question number 3, are there any changes I can make? I want to go through questions now. So please feel free. I'm very wary of time. I'm going to give it. You know, David, I'm going to do this. Sorry. I'm going to move it around. I'm going to do this. I want to go here. There's someone out there who's way less qualified than you living the life you want simply because they took action. I want you to take action now. I want you to now look at the 3 months ahead with all the input you've got from this morning, hopefully something that resonates with you. And Albert Einstein says this, if you want to talk about insanity, it's this. It's doing the same thing over and over and then expecting a different result. I want to ask you this question. Areas of your life that you want to improve in or grow in, what are they? And then I want to say, what's your plan to get there? Dave Brailsford and British Cycling had a very specific plan. They unpacked every component of what it would take them to be great. And they just slowly got better and better every single day, all the time. It's not going to just happen. It's not going to fly in one day and it's just going to happen. You need to write out a plan and you need to get into the detail of that plan and you need to phone a friend or whoever and be accountable for these plans if you want to make progress. And I want you to take 5 minutes now, because I know we get busy as soon as we leave this room. I want you to take 5 minutes now and I want you to write out what are the areas I want to stretch in. I want to go for more. You can only do that. Remember the first slide. You can only do that if you're not satisfied with where you're at. I want more.
Grant, what I can offer is for an sense of accountability, and this is from a point of view of not me following up anyone, but me being available. Someone you can email me with your accountability, with your plan, and to be accountable to that. Now I have a coach, a business coach who I'm accountable to, and if I don't do my homework, he's on my case, and he messages me in between to say, David, how many phone calls did you? In fact, I got a phone call, something from him this morning.
Oh, good.
So, and on Friday afternoon, I was not, so I think it's really good, and I'm happy to be that to anyone on this call. Now, many of us in our team, we do have this some kind of this kind of relationship, but even those not within my team, direct team, and those nodding with Chorus, please feel free to email me, david@chorusproperty.co.za, with your accountability, and I'm very happy to follow up that with you, just for a sense of practicality, Grant.
Thank you so much. So guys, so you got 4 minutes. Please start on this exercise. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave room for 1 or 2 questions max, and then I'm going to say all the best. So let's do this. Let's dive in. Let's stretch for more. What are the areas you still want to improve? And I'm just saying 3 months, the next 3 months. We can maybe say half of September all the way through to the end of December. December is anywhere half a month in many industries, but till the end of the year. And what's my plan? It's not just going to happen. What's my plan? And can I just suggest also, don't have 15 points. Have 2 things that you really want to go after. 3 things. When we start to have lists, it makes us feel amazing, but we don't get to the most important things. What are the most important things that will move the needle in this quarter? And I literally only have 3 minutes to give you. I'm so sorry. But I'd like you, if possible, to leave the room with something, because you know what happens the minute you step out, life happens. Sorry, Lebohang, did you not see that video? I don't know which one it was. Just type in the box. I'll reply.
Grant, both videos actually froze, so we could hear the text, you could hear the verbal, but the actual video itself were.
I'm so sorry, David. What I'll do is I'll send you the URL for both those, because they're super powerful.
That's fantastic. Awesome.
If you can just go in through in your own time. Sorry, guys. So sorry.
No worries, we got the message. It was quite clear.
Yeah, and then the last page is just my contact details. Should any of this resonate, or you need to clarify anything, or I'm more than happy, send an email and we can chat it through and help you along. Really an honor.
So from my side, before we just go to questions, I just want to Grant, that was amazing. I think something that we have touched on mindset in our team meetings and in the last few months. But I think what you've done is just make it very practical. And one of the challenges, Grant, I don't know if you find this, and maybe you can comment on this, is that we often have the theory, but we struggle, number one, we think that we need to be perfect and really have this mindset thing great, and we're 100% positive all the time, and we disciplined every minute of the day. So that sometimes holds us back. And then also sometimes we actually just struggle we've got so much momentum with bad thinking or negative thinking or bad habits that we actually don't get around to making a change.
Yeah, David, that's a brilliant perception, brilliant perspective. I think probably the thing that you can give yourself to the rest of your life. And the most important thing is know yourself. Know how you tick, know what brings you into points of despondency or disappointment, all those kinds of things. And there's amazing tools out there. I think of, just my journey with the Enneagram this year has changed my life, because I've started to realize what's at the root of how I operate. And as a result, whenever something happens that makes me want to go into a trough, I can pick it up and identify why, because my root core motivation has been impacted. That's just an example. But, once you know who you are and you know exactly, how much interaction you need, all those kinds of things, what you need just to kind of switch off, etc., you can start to show up more consistently and more profoundly, And so that would be my first thing. And absolutely, there are days where I do not feel like, there are days, and it's been quite interesting. On Monday morning, I've got this set client engagement, and I'm driving there. I'm like, on a Monday morning, this is a push, but it's okay because it's what I love. So when I arrive there, I can start to kick in a gear. So what I want to say to you is that you don't always have to be on your A game. I work with lots of golfers who arrive on the day and they're not feeling great at all, but somehow they learn how to just go with what you've got and build on it. Remember some of the things that bring you down and be aware of that. And awareness is the best gift you can give yourself. Self-awareness and just awareness of your thinking. That Lisa, what I mentioned about the challenge of change, that resilience training that Lisa's come up with is profound. And I want to say to you, just watch the stories you play through your head, because that's probably where your poison's coming from. It knocks your motivation, it knocks your outlook, it gets you into your head, and then you can't perform at your best ever. You're not focused on what you're distracted, actually. You're daydreaming. You're not focused on what you have to do. But anyway, that's all.
No, that's true. So we want to encourage each other just to take the first step. And what you've done today, Grant, which we really appreciate, is you've given us a whole lot of practical things, which if we just implement some of them, we're going to go on that journey, which is an upward trajectory that we're just going to implement more, etc., and it becomes an upward trajectory. So that self-struggle, sometimes it's just getting on it, on making that first step, it makes a difference. Okay, guys, we're just going to open up for one or two questions. I know Solomon had a question, which was also quite a relevant one. He asked, how do you reach out to clients in suburbs where Black folks have negative connotations?
Solomon, maybe just explain what you mean by negative connotations.
So, I've started working in the area like Helder Crane, Rob Park. So, the resistance, despite all the effort, the energy, the knowledge that I have about property and all that, the response is quite huge. Out of 10, the negative response, I get something like 9, 8, almost like 1% positive response, even though I always find a way to still try to get myself back into the market, like by connecting with some of the Black folks that stay in the area. But obviously, it's good to try to build the brand. So, because a lot of Black people, are known for different things, crime, not reliable, etc., etc. So, when you meet people of different cultures, it's like this piece of city.
So Solomon, what you're saying is the areas that you're selling, people are uncomfortable to move in there. Or it's the kind of people you're trying to sell houses to?
No, the clients that need to be given service In other words,
I'm not hearing you well. I'm so sorry.
in other words, the clients would prefer to have somebody else different except a black person.
Okay, I got you. Yeah. Yeah, that is so sad in our country at this time, right? But I think work on your results and become an expert in the area. You know, see what it takes, what it could take for you to, for example, put out a newsletter or put out things that are really impactful, that make a difference, where people look up and say, gee, I want to contact this guy because he really knows the area, he really knows things. And with some people, you just got to just produce the results, unfortunately, you know. That's how we do business with people, because we kind of feel like they're gonna, you know, add value for us. So just go out your way and add some real good value, as I'm sure you do. David, I don't know if you have any other thoughts on that.
I mean, I think it comes to, unfortunately, there are those negative connotations. And I mean, Solomon has very good relationships with all cultures and races, and so it's not his issue. It's not his issue. It's the issues that is put onto him because of the bad negative attitudes of those around him. And I think, as you say, the language that these kind of folk typically understand is one of productivity, one of results, and you need to talk in a language which they're going to understand, which is competence. Whatever you can show that sense of competence, they will deal with any color. Unfortunately, is one extra step that you've got to go through, which me living in that area would not, and that's just a tragedy of our time.
But Solomon, it's going to make you stronger and better than anybody else, and make you stand out. Just taking that higher ground. I don't know if that is helpful.
What other questions? Any other questions, comments, guys? What else can you share, or questions, comments before we let Grant go?
David, can I share something if there isn't? Yeah.
Perfect. Just any last questions, and then Grant, you can have your bit. From Skilla, who is that from? I don't recognize that. Thank you, Relentless Ambition. I appreciate it. If you can just say your name and where you're from, that'd be great. Any other comments or questions? Okay, cool. Even if you just add it in the comments. Oh, thanks, Scott. Awesome. Any other comments or questions? You can just leave it. How do you feel about what Grant has said? What is that one takeaway that you've got? Please add it in the box. That would be the comment box. That'd be great. Go ahead, Grant.
What I want to leave you with, everyone, is a very interesting little tool to kick you into action. Because I don't know if you know, I mean, you've lived with yourself forever. It's sometimes we just don't feel like doing something, and we know it's important and we have to do it. I came across this, and now I've got to think of the person's name. It'll come to me. And she came up with this thing called 54321 launch. It's amazing. So basically what I do is I say, man, I've got to write this report. Gee, it's the last thing I feel like I'm like so demotivated to do it. Okay, Grant, come on. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And it's rewires your brain to say, all right, I'm ready for action, versus, oh, let me find something else to do. Now I'm trying to think of her name. Mel Robbins. There you go. Mel Robbins.
I love it.
I'll send that in the email to you as well, Dave, that you can check out. But it's just a practical tool. A client of mine, we had a session on Monday, and he said, gee, I had so many moments where I've just felt inactive or not wanting to do anything. And I've just used that rocket launcher, and it's just got me to move. Because all you want, just some movement. Once you got moving, you got more chance of finishing.
Grant, I find that works in the morning at 4:30 when I need to get up. I go 10, I count down from 10, and then
there you go. Yeah,
it works about 4 out of 5 times, but most of the time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's not no money back guarantees on that.
I think it's easier to count down from 3, David.
I think I'm going to try this. I'm going to try that. I'm going to start at 5, and then I'll go to the 3.
So I think the thing is, if you start from like a higher number like 10, then there's enough time to sort of talk yourself out of it. Whereas if you just go 3, 2, 1 and get up, you don't have the time
That's
talk
it.
about.
That's it.
I used to use it when I used to get into the pool as a kid. In the when the water was really cold, I would give myself that 10-9 and then jump.
And
Okay.
go for the hardest tasks. Go for the hardest tasks. 3, 2, 1. I'm going to do the hardest task now. Anyway.
Good. Love it. Love it. Love it.
Thanks,
Any other further comments, questions, guys? Are we okay? Where's the state agent? We should be able to say something. Okay, guys. I really appreciate your time. Once again, awesome. Grant, you've been incredible. Thank you for your additional time that you gave us this morning. You're incredible. Hopefully I'll see you again soon. And we're just from my team and from all the audience here, we just want to thank you. We love it. And hopefully we'll see you soon. Okay.
Bye, everybody. Thank you
You made a difference. Thank you. Cool.
Guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.